Hi, this is Keith Corbett and I'm the proprietor of Woodland Wellness, healing arts practice based in Staffordshire, United Kingdom, and serving clients all over the world. And here today I'd like to tell you about an holistic healing case study. Look at our methodology behind our healing art and also the kind of results that we can get. So the agenda for this presentation is like this: a little bit of how we work, looking at what is holistic, and then some constructions or concepts behind which we based our healing philosophy. I'll talk a little bit about myself, but then we'll get to the meat of it, a really nice case study which I hope you'll find quite interesting, especially these components, this thing which I'm calling the big chill. I'll explain it in a little while, but also the program we devised, the goals that we set, the tactics, and also the results that were achieved. So moving on, let's talk about how we work. And what we do is we take an holistic approach, which means we really look at the whole being. Just to explain what I mean by that, what does holistic mean? Well, here's a definition I found on the internet. It says, encompassing the whole of a thing and not just the part. Looks at the whole person for answers, not just at the physical symptoms. I like that one, that's why I picked it obviously, but here's my own definition. It means we work at every level of the being, be it the physical, mental, emotional, or the energetic or spiritual level, the part of you that's not on the physical plane. Okay, so I want to talk now about the four bodies. This is a construct for how we address the different parts of the whole being. There's obviously the physical part, that's your body, the part of you you're physically aware of, can touch and feel. And we have different tools in our toolbox to help with physical body imbalances, things like herbs and supplements, doing physical movement or manipulation of the body even. Then there's the emotional body. Each one is getting a higher level of vibration or less dense than the last one. At the emotional level, we do things like meridian energy therapies and releasing negative emotions like anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, that sort of thing. Doing things like Ho'oponopono, a forgiveness technique. And then we get to the mental body, and there we've got the more, let's say, the things that the conscious mind can deal with, like hypnosis, NLP, timeline therapy. Some of these will work across multiple bodies, but for categorization I'm just putting them there. And then your spiritual body, where we might do things like energy healing or polarity balancing, more esoteric kind of techniques. And the interesting thing to note is this, that they're all connected. An imbalance in one will have a knock-on effect on the others. So let's say in your energy body, your polarity is reversed. That will show up eventually as physical ailments. And I'll get into that a little bit more as we go through. So another construct we use is the three minds. The first mind is the conscious mind. That's your critical faculty that you're using to view this video, listen to me right now. It's the part of your mind that you are consciously aware of. And then we have the unconscious mind, also known as the subconscious. But basically, this is the bit of your mind that really runs your life. It drives you home while you're thinking of something else. It keeps your body breathing and blood pumping, and also has a larger effect on your physical world reality, which I'll go into in a moment. And the third mind is the higher mind or higher self. This is the part of you that's connected to source energy, to all that is, and your soul, if you like. And what you find is the higher mind and the unconscious mind have this dialogue going on. They have a communications link. The higher mind is always trying to move you towards more expansion, more growth, to your purpose, if you like. And so then the unconscious mind communicates with the conscious mind. And so the message comes from the higher through the unconscious to the conscious. The point is there is no direct communication between your conscious mind and your higher mind. The facility for the communication is through the unconscious. So that's where we focus a lot of our work. And taking a look at the unconscious mind, we see that it has all of our programming in it, all the different beliefs and behaviors that we've picked up over the years, mostly unconsciously, are all held there. It's a seat of our personality. Who we are resides in the unconscious. Behaviors, as I mentioned, when you have a trigger, what's your reaction to it? It's unconsciously generated. All of your beliefs, even the ones you don't know about, in fact most of the ones you have you don't know about, they're all there in your unconscious mind. The emotions are there, and also your filters, your worldview. You will delete, distort or generalize information that doesn't fit your worldview. It takes an open mind and an open heart to be willing to accept that what I believe may not be entirely the way things are. And this is a key thing. Your unconscious mind creates your reality. Your physical world's experience is a reflection of your inner consciousness. Everything you experience in the physical world is generated from your unconscious for the purpose of your learning and or growth. That's a big leap for many people to make, but it's a big premise of how we do our work. And whether it is or isn't the case, it gets results, and so that's the main thing that we're concerned about. And the other thing we do with our clients is try to get them into an empowering mindset, and the first component of that is perception is projection. This is a concept coined by Carl Jung, who was a peer to Sigmund Freud, and what it basically says is that what you're perceiving in your physical reality is projected out by you. So that builds on what I already said, is that your physical world experience is simply a reflection of your inner consciousness. So if you want to change that, you need to change on the inside first. And that brings us to cause and effect. Are you playing the role of victim, believing yourself to be at the effect over circumstances over which you perceive you have no control? Or are you at cause, taking responsibility for what goes on in your life and knowing that you've created it for the purpose of your learning or growth? And the other thing is connection. We try to build that rapport between the conscious and the unconscious so that we have a strong connection and we build our intuition and we can get answers to questions. All we need to know is contained within there. So that's a key part of our teaching. And here's a little graphical representation of it. You've got all your programming on the left-hand side there, the unconscious mind. You're in the middle, that's your critical faculty, your conscious mind if you like. And a mirror image of the programming are your experiences in reality. So you don't get what you want, you get what you are. Hope that makes sense. Moving on. We're naught but the product of our programming. And that's my own quotation, and I totally believe it. The good news is, once we realize this, we can change the programming. If you want to see massive positive change in your life, we can do that. And this is one of the key things we work on. It's a thing called chronic reversed polarity. It's a little known term, but it is a stress-induced dysfunction of the body's electrical system. And it's like this. When you reach the switching point and become switched, as we call it, it's like taking the terminals off your car battery and putting them on the other way round. So you take the positive cable and put it on the negative terminal and vice versa. And it basically fries your electrical system. And to put it in terms of a magnet, like if you stress a magnet, like hit it with a hammer or drop it from a height, you'll find that the poles switch ends. So what was the north becomes the south, and so on, or the positive and negative change places. And this is what's happening at a cellular level in your body when you have a trauma or sustained period of pressure that causes you to switch and have the chronic reverse polarity. Chronic means long lasting, obviously. You can get it short term for a few moments or hours, but when you've got it consistently for a long period of time, that's when it's a real problem. And I'm the only certified European practitioner for polarity balancing using the Keith Smith reversal method. Now, he's the guy who taught me this particular healing art, and feel free to look him up. A real wonderful guy based in Escondido, California. And these are what we call the switch conditions. When your polarity reverses, fatigue is the most common one. Depression or the SADS, sleeplessness, waking up in the night, that sort of thing. Waking up in the morning not refreshed. Hopelessness and despair tend to creep in. Depends how long you've had it, but it is progressive, and if you don't deal with it over time, it just gets worse. Weakens your immune system, even in extreme cases having autoimmune conditions such as MS, fibromyalgia, psoriasis, these sorts of things. Being foggy-brained, lack of mental clarity, irritable, snapping for no reason, those sorts of things. And gut problems. Anyone long-term switch is going to have some kind of gut problems. In extreme conditions, you might get Crohn's or IBS, and also muscle and joint pain. It goes for the weak points. Whichever for you is a weakness, it will show up. It will be exacerbated through the condition. And this is a key thing, looking at it metaphysically. Everything happens in reverse. So LOA here stands for Law of Attraction. And if you've heard of that, you'll know what it means. It means like attracts like. So you get what you are. You get what you're a vibrational match for. The thing is, if you're using the law of attraction, or if you're using the principles of attraction to try and create something in your life, if you're switched, there's a very good chance you're going to end up with the exact opposite to what you're trying to attract. It's a very interesting observation we made. And also, people can't hold the energy, and that's how I got into it. I was doing energy work, Reiki, on a couple of people who'd got this, and I just couldn't get the energy into them. And what we believe is that the body is naturally self-balancing once the barriers are removed. So once you correct the polarity, all these other things go away on their own. The body just sorts itself out. So we don't try and treat any condition. We just work on the polarity at the energetic level, and healing occurs naturally. The person heals themselves, basically. And the other thing we'll talk about is vibration. So what is vibration? It's the frequency at which the electrical frequency at which you operate, basically. And the higher the vibration, the easier life is, and the less problems you have. So, for example, and you need to just get rid of the things in your life that are keeping your vibration down, and this is going to cause you problems, and put more of the things into your life that raise your vibration, or that are of the same or higher vibration than yourself. And so, for example, if you've got anxiety, depression, phobias, your vibration is going to be quite low, and so it serves you to release those negative emotions. If you've got a lot of limiting beliefs, like I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, I'm not free, or this sort of thing, I'm a bum, you need to get an empowering mindset and understand that you have the power to change that. Eating dead food, like processed foods with no life force energy in them, will bring your vibration down, whereas fresh organic foods are going to raise it up. Sugars and sweeteners always test very weak, so very bad. So try and avoid them if you can, and use things like superfoods, as spirulina, chlorella, or supplements, those kind of things, which are going to make you not only feel better, but have a much higher vibration existence. Coffee, generally speaking, doesn't do you much good, whereas herbal teas will pick you up. Pop and sodas, again, vibration will go down when you drink those, and using pure or filtered water is going to raise it up. And these are all things we've tested using kinesiology or muscle testing, and so proven it over many people. Exposure to electromagnetic frequencies, electrical currents, also has a detrimental effect on the body, so turn that wireless router off when you go to sleep at night. Doing energy work, getting back into nature, can pick it back up again. Being a couch potato and lethargic lowers the vibe. But getting some like kind of regular moderate exercise, that'll pick it back up again. Stress. Stress is one of the biggest killers in the modern world, I think. It's one of the biggest contributors to low vibration. And if you stay with me to the end of this presentation, I'll show you how you can get a free 5-minute audio that I've created for instant stress relief. You can use it almost any time, anywhere, and get that stress out. It's very important to get the stress out of your body. And then obviously relaxation is, this is not relaxing to the point of being the couch potato, but it's for recharging mainly. Having a negative attitude. Have you noticed that how people who are always moaning get more things in their life to moan about? Brings down your vibe. Just having a positive mental attitude picks it up. Again, being retreating, hermit-like, antisocial, low vibe. Socializing, being outgoing, is high vibe. And if you have social anxiety, that comes up, look at the top left, it's a low vibe. You can release that and be able to socialize comfortably and even enjoy it. It's quite easy to do. Being hard-hearted, mean-spirited, compared to caring and compassionate, which is a high vibration way of being. And then probably chronic reverse polarity, probably the single biggest contributor to low vibration. It's almost impossible to have a high vibe lifestyle if you're switched. So get unswitched. That's principle upon which we work. And I said already, you don't get what you want, you get what you are a vibrational match for. So if you're a vibrational match for negative things, they will show up in your life. If you want to be a vibrational match for positive things, to have a more expansive, richer physical world experience, got to get your vibration up. So before we get into the case study, I'll just swiftly cover a bit about me because people ask me and they want to know that. So for that reason, I'm putting it in. So here I am. I'm a master healer, metaphysical researcher, and empowerment educator. They're all a bit of a mouthful. What's it actually mean? So on the professional level, obviously I'm practitioner tutor level qualified in the healing of chronic reverse polarity. I've got master practitioner certification in numerous disciplines such as neuro-linguistic programming, timeline therapy, NLP coaching, hypnotherapy. I'm a master herbalist, freeway CER practitioner tutor, that's meridian energy therapy. I'm a Reiki master teacher, and obviously practice a thing called Rosetta. And there are many more, but these are the core ones that I use most of the time. And also privately, I'm a seeker. I'm very interested in esoteric practices, ageless wisdom, all that weird and wonderful mystery school stuff. I've done shamanic training, TCM is traditional Chinese medicine, kinesiology, meditation techniques, breath work, and the spiritual development, the life purpose. And this is one thing I teach clients, is to find out who you really are so that you can be that and have more joy in your life. And this is my mantra: empowering you to achieve high vibration, health, wealth, and happiness. Because in the end, isn't that what it's all about? Well, so what else about me? Got a lovely family, my wife, grown-up kids. I'm in a comedy musical duo with my mate Nige, the sax. And I also have taken up Aikido, Japanese martial art. That's me, with some of my colleagues from our Aikido club, and that's very good for growing yourself physically, mentally, spiritually. Really good holistic kind of training. I love to ski. I ski a couple of times a year. That's not me, by the way, but I do like to ski. I lived in Colorado for 6 years, had a season pass there. And I love public speaking. I have clients who are terrified of it, and I do help them release that. But for me, I think it's no accident that I like an audience. And I run my own meetup groups and networking meetings, as well as talk at other people's events. And I'm an author. I've written a lovely book called The Heart Manifesto, which is a fantastic manifesting technique which I've developed. And there's this young man getting a signed copy at a book signing. And I'm a property developer. I like to take these old, run-down, derelict buildings and turn them into somewhere nice for somebody to live in. And that's another income stream, as well as basically a pension plan for me. So the question I get asked the most is, how did I get into all of this? And it is quite a story. Back at the end of the 90s, I was every bit the young executive with the company car and a big house and exotic holidays on a career ladder, doing all the material world things that we're conditioned to believe are important in this life. And then the ghost of my dead grandmother showed up at my bedside 3 times. And you know that expression, jump out of your skin? Well, I can tell you I know exactly what that's like. It was a wake-up call. About the same time, there was a guy called Joe Firmage who ran a big dot-com company in Silicon Valley during the big dot-com boom in the late 90s. And he wrote an article in the San Jose Mercury News about having a conversation with an alien in his bedroom. It's mind-boggling stuff. But I started, because he was a very down-to-earth guy, he had to resign from his job. The shareholders didn't like that at all. But it piqued my interest. And I came across a thing called Reiki on one of his web pages, which is a hands-on energy healing art. And then I started having dreams about being some kind of Jesus figure going around and putting my hands on people and they're getting well and stuff like that. It's quite interesting. So I went and found a Reiki teacher in the local town, and I didn't tell him I'd got a 20-year-old rugby injury in my right knee, but he put his hands around it. There was all this heat and tingling, and bang, it's brand new. It still is to this day, and they'd said there was nothing they could do for it. That was an amazing trigger for me to start reading. I read for England. I absorbed so much information. I went to all kinds of workshops and seminars just to learn more about the world and the universe, that there's way more to the world than meets the eye. I started going to conferences. I went to the big Cryon Midsummer Light Conference in Breckenridge, and I started training. I started going on courses and getting certifications, becoming a healer and a teacher myself. And at one of these conferences, I met this angel of a man called Keith Smith, master herbalist and iridologist from California. And cutting a long story short, he invited me to train with him, which I did, in the healing of chronic reverse polarity. And from that point on, I found the results that I was getting with clients just went through the roof. I could get tremendous additional healings for them, which hadn't been possible before. So here's a disclaimer I have to put up before getting into the case study, that I'm not a doctor, don't diagnose, treat or cure any medical condition, and this information is just for your entertainment purposes, so I hope you enjoy it. And I want to talk about a special case, and it's very special because this lady had so many ailments, but was always got the brave face on. You wouldn't know it, and she never complained. And that's why I'm calling her a special lady. She asked me not to use her proper name, her full name, and her picture here, and I've respected that, because obviously there's a lot of personal information in here, and if someone she knows sees it, it could be a little bit embarrassing for her. But this is the case. A female in her 50s. She had chronic reverse polarity, was switched as we called it, and also therefore had a lot of switched conditions such as sleeplessness, foggy brain, irritability, and the chronic fatigue. Had to take naps in the afternoon. and she had long-term physical pain. That's chronic pain, fibromyalgia in the neck and shoulders, osteoarthritis in the back and knees, and a whiplash injury, which meant she had restricted movement in her left shoulder, couldn't lift her arm above her head, and had tension all over, but particularly in her arms. She's always very, very tense. Not only that, chronic emotional pain, a lot of grief, flashbacks of trauma and depression, anxiety all the time, constantly anxious, overwhelmed with life, so stressed out, and had such low self-worth, had a negative voice in her head and was completely distressed, was emotional eating a lot, biting her nails. Quite how she bore up with all of that and still kept a brave face on it is beyond me. I think I would have broken down a long time before. She was also subject to hemiplegic migraines. Now, I don't know if you know what they are, but it basically, from what I can tell, it feels like you're having a stroke, but it passes. You may get numbness or loss of use of the right side or one side of the face, and it may go down the whole body. You can't use your arm or your leg, but it's hemiplegic. It's always on one side of the body. And it must be pretty distressing when you're in that state, not knowing if you're going to come out of it. And of course, with all of this, she couldn't move forward in her life, had no motivation, a bit of hopelessness really, and clearly difficulty earning money. If you've got no energy and you're in constant pain, it is difficult to go out and earn. So the big question I had to ask myself when faced with this, I mean, it was obviously quite an involved case, is can I help her? And I always do this internal check with every client. Can I help them? And only if I get a yes will I move forward and offer them a program. And the way I get a yes is I get a little buzz or a chill which comes down the right back side of my head. And sometimes it goes down my arm and I get goosebumps. And this is a sort of a yes or an affirmation for me. It's I don't know if you want to call it an intuitive or psychic response, but in this case I got the big chill. It just started where it normally starts and it spread out over my whole body, went down all the way to my toes and lasted longer than almost any of the ones I'd had before, and it was just a huge goosebumpy chill is the only way I can explain it. It went all over me. It wasn't just yes you can help, it was yes you must. And I was reminded of these words which Keith Smith gave to me all those years back, years ago when I trained with them, actually initially in 2003. Disease cannot exist in high vibration tissue. So I thought all I have to do is get a vibration up and everything will go away. Maybe. Anyway, decided to try and help her. So here are the goals which she set for her program. She wants to restore her energy, eliminate the pain, achieve good health, regain motivation and a positive outlook, start a business, pick up hobbies that she hadn't been able to do for years, grow her nails instead of biting them off all the time, and make regular earnings and savings. Is that all? I said to her. I mean, imagine going from where she was then up to achieving this. What an amazing transformation that would be. So when I said about working with someone and devising a program, the first thing I do is an internal check and I ask, what do I need to know to get the best possible result for this person? Basically using my intuition, my inner guidance, and I have techniques for developing that which have made it very strong, and these are techniques I share with my clients. And this is the answer I got, right? The emotional pain that she has and the anxiety that she experiences every minute of the day have resulted in the physical pain. So the physical pain is a result of the anxiety and the emotional pain that she's experiencing. So if we can get rid of the emotional pain, and if we can get rid of the anxiety, the physical pain will also go away. Okay, sounds simple enough. How are we going to do that? So here's the program which I devised for her to achieve those goals. First of all, we release all the negative emotions: anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, grief. Identify and release all those limiting beliefs around self-worth and, I don't know, lovable, freedom, whatever they are. We identify them and release them. Removing the anxiety is obviously going to be key to getting rid of the physical pain. Removing a thought form, a voice inside of her head that was telling her she was worthless. Integrate parts. On the one hand she wants this, on the other hand she wants that. Create a positive relationship with money. Your attitude towards money can help bring it towards you or can drive it further away. And expand the energy field. Raise the vibration for a bigger, more expansive life experience. We know how to do that. We've talked a bit how to do that already. And identifying the life purpose and creating a plan to live life on purpose. Excellent for raising your vibration. Devising an outcome and installing a goal in the future timeline, so she's looking forward instead of dwelling on the past. And learning how to make the right empowered decisions every time. So the choices we make define us. How do we know they're the right ones? We have techniques for doing that. And then practical strategies for overcoming the overwhelm and managing everything that's going on in their life. Particularly banishing the stress. Getting the stress out is very, 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 very important. And we've created an environment for ourselves in the modern world that we're not physiologically suited to, and it causes stress. So I'll tell you what, if you stay with me to the end of this, I will show you how you can get free a lovely 5-minute audio which I've created, an audio file MP3 that will give you instant stress relief that you can use anytime, anywhere. Get that stress out of your system. It's very important. And then how to establish and maintain an empowered mindset. Increasing the intuition, learning how to tap into inner guidance. And installing that confidence, the self-belief, the self-love. Putting stuff in, as well as getting all the baggage out. And then restoring her energy so that she doesn't have to take a nap every afternoon. And finally, perhaps most importantly, is to get pain-free. Okay. These are some of the tactics I used. I've got quite a broad toolbox and I've dipped into it a lot in this case. So we did a lot of releasing and more releasing and then even more releasing. Using timeline therapy, using the kinesthetic, empathy and energetic release, all kinds of things to get all the negative baggage out. Using neuro-linguistic programming, things like rapport and reframes. These things won't mean much to you if you don't know much about NLP, but if you do NLP, you'll recognize some of the different tactics within that discipline that we've been able to employ in this case. Using hypnotherapy, creating metaphors, putting suggestions in, and also giving her auto-suggestions so she can hypnotize herself when needed. Doing the life purpose analysis and coming up with a business design and a Gantt chart, a real, an action plan of things to do by when to move it forward. And hold her accountable to that, obviously. The shamanic techniques like Ho'oponopono, releasing thought forms, doing breath work, and other energetic work were obviously a key part of it. And just basic life coaching, just to manage yourself on a daily basis. Overcome that overwhelm. How do you deal with it? Getting the stress out. I've mentioned the audio already, and obviously I'd intended to mention it here, so I'll mention it again. Get your free 5-minute instant stress relief audio by staying to the end of this video. And also, how to make money. Simple stuff. People have the answers within them. You just need to ask the right questions to get them out. And then I also use a thing called the Rossiter technique to do manipulations for joint pain, and we actually had to come in and do some of that at the end to get the final bits out. So here's the starting point. I decided to do a calibration on this case. So I asked her, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is nothing and 10 is as bad as it can be, and what's your energy level? Or 10 is as high as it can be, what's your energy level? And it's about a 4. She has to take regular afternoon naps. Anxiety and worry, which she had all the time, was an 8. She rated the tension as a 9, but it's all over her body, especially in the arms. Stress and overwhelm was a 9. Emotional eating, an 8, doing it at least 3 times a week. Had an 8 out of 10 in back pain, frequent hand pain, constant low-level pain in fingers. The fibromyalgia pain, she gave that a 9 out of 10. It's in her neck and shoulders. The hemiplegic migraine she'd get every couple of months or so. She had a lot of grief from death of her mother, high blood pressure, and overall pain, which moves around. When pain is moving around, we know it's emotional pain, so we know how to deal with that. Constant overwhelm and stress and procrastination. Motivation, only 2 out of 10. And happiness, only 2 out of 10. And she wanted to be happy, satisfied, and content. And notice on here, there's no 10s. She never gives a 10. This is a person who does not give 10s. Even the fibromyalgia pain, which was her main problem, only a 9. Well, I say only a 9. It was a 9. She wouldn't give it a 10. And everything is connected. And so we know that if we can deal with the anxiety and the emotions, we can get rid of the physical pain. Everything is connected. All aspects of your life. You know, if you've got money trouble, maybe the source of it is in your personal relationship. See what I mean? There are connections all over the place. You need to be very holistic when it comes to getting real results. Speaking of which, let's see how we got on when we implemented that program. So we had a starting point. A month later, we did another calibration. We found that the fibromyalgia pain was down to 5 to 6 out of 10 and much less frequent rather than being all the time. It's only sometimes, a few times a day. And as improvement in the knees and back, and her walk had improved, wasn't having to limp anymore. No migraines. And for the first time in 3 months, she went to work. Wasn't as achy or stiff, and stairs were easier, less stiffness in the body. So already, 1 month in, good progress. So the next calibration we did was after 3 months, and here's what we got. The fibromyalgia pain was now down to 0. Let me say that again. Fibromyalgia pain, 0. And isn't that amazing? Stress already down at a quite manageable level now, and her intuition had increased dramatically. The exercises we do were paying off, and she'd found a lost purse in the street, and she used the force, as she described it, to return it. She went looking for the person, and in her car she parked right outside this person's house, not really knowing what the address was, just having an idea of the vicinity. And amazing enough, she parked a car right outside the house of the person who'd lost their purse. That's an amazing story. She'd stopped eating refined sugar, got the knee pain down, painted her nails, amazing, and then restarted her hobbies, especially doing like paper mache things, and how wonderful is that? So here's how it looks on a chart. To give a graphic representation, and it might make it more real for you. So the grief we'd got rid of, migraines gone, knee pain was right down, stress was getting well on the way down, and the fibromyalgia was down to 0. You can see it dipped in the first month and then dipped a lot more by the 3rd month. I don't know what it was in the 2nd month. It may have been up or down, but because we didn't measure it, and we just drawn a straight line like that. And energy is on the way up, motivation is on the way up, and happiness is on the way up. So I would say, all in all, 3 months in, not bad progress, especially on the fibromyalgia front. So moving ahead to month 4, she's now sleeping better, more relaxed, and wants to address new issues, things we had not discussed at the beginning of the program. Doing a dissertation for a master's degree, which she'd put off for about 3 years, and all she had to do was finish it and hand it in. Her daughter had Asperger's, and techniques and tactics for dealing with that. Issues, emotional issues, particularly with her sister, who'd been a bit of a bully to her all her life, ex-husband. So, okay, let's address these. And so we revised the program goals so she could complete a dissertation, start a business plan, make better food choices, and do more basic life coaching. So I'm going to fast forward now to month 8, because all of that went on, and at month 8, anxiety is down to 4, tension is gone, emotional eating is only a 3, back pain, it was 6 out of 10 when she walks. Hand pain's gone, finger pain's gone, fibromyalgia pain is still gone, knee pain is gone, except when she walks, it comes back to a 6. The hemiplegic migraines are gone. What a relief that must have been. Blood pressure's lower, she's reduced the medication that she'd been taking for that. Energy, up to 8 out of 10, no more afternoon naps. How does that affect your life? And happiness, happy, satisfied, content was her goal. She says it's a quiet 10. So she's not bouncing off the walls, but she's feeling pretty darn good. And she has more than enough time to do everything. So that all that overwhelm is now a thing of the past, and she started her online business. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, so going forward one more month, we find that anxiety is down to 2 out of 10. I think it would be 0 if a daughter wasn't just starting university. Fair enough, you might have a bit of worry about how they're going to thrive in a new environment, especially someone with Asperger's. So to have it down at a 2, I think, is a very, very good result. All the tension's gone. Emotional eating, a little bit left, I think also related to daughter going to university. All the fibromyalgia pain is gone. Fan-tabby-dozy. Knee pain is gone, although it's a 6 when she walks. So what we did was, with hypnotic autosuggestion, she can remove that pain whenever it comes in. And then the back pain was, we couldn't get it below a 6 when she was walking. It was when she wasn't walking it was fine, but then we used Rossiter technique and the back pain has gone. And I think I'm very good on back pain. I think it's because I can empathise from injury I had many years ago, which was helped with Rossiter. And she can lift her arm above her head. Again, use Rossiter technique to enable that, get over that whiplash injury. Hemiplegic migraines still gone. How fantastic is that? The grief is gone, although she does a little sadness when she thinks about it. And I think it's natural when you think about losing someone, it is a little bit sad, but at least she's not wallowing in grief all day long. The grief has gone. Stress is gone. Banish stress forever. That's what I teach. Blood pressure was down to normal. Energy, 8 out of 10. Motivation, 10 out of 10. She's got a new job, a teaching contract, as well as doing her online business now. Happiness is 10. Now remember, this is a person who does not give 10s. Motivation and happiness are 10 out of 10, raring to go, whole new lease on life. Fantastic. There you go. 10. Happy. So let's see what that looks like on the chart. So as I say, the grief that we already noticed within the first month basically, already gone, still gone. As with the hemiplegic migraines, fibromyalgia still at 0. The stress got all the way down to 0 by month 9. It may have gone down sooner, but obviously I didn't record it in the meantime, so I'll just draw that straight line to 0 in month 9. The knee pain obviously plateaued after month 3, but then we were able to use auto-suggestion to get it down to 0 in the final month. The tension was gone. That was a major benefit for her. Emotional eating down to quite a low level now, as is the anxiety, which, if you recall, was basically the root of all of her, let's say, issues. Okay, so moving on. Managed to get the back pain down finally with another kind of intervention I'll talk about in a moment. And look at that. The motivation to get going and move forward with life, get out of bed in the morning even, all the way up to 10. And this is from a person who doesn't give 10s, remember. And there's her energy at about an 8. She's happy with that. Maybe it can be higher a little bit, but for now, that's where we are. And look at that. Happiness got it up all the way to 10 out of 10. And in the end, isn't that really what it's all about, as I said? So looking at this then, that asterisk there, by back pain, we did a separate kind of intervention, which is Rossiter technique, and it's a type of manipulation, but very, very effective, especially on lower back pain. And then the double asterisks there on the knee pain line, we used a hypnotic auto-suggestion, which she can do for herself whenever she feels that pain, to take it down to 0. And then the emotional eating and anxiety, I believe, is due to her daughter, who's got Asperger's syndrome, remember, going to university at this particular time. And I think once she's there and established and functioning fine in that environment, that'll also be down to 0. So all in all, it's a beautiful picture. It tells a very, very lovely story and a fantastic result for this person. In particular, the fibromyalgia would appear so far to be completely healed. Obviously like to track it in the long term, but fibromyalgia gone. Fantastic. So in summary, the client had endured chronic pain, anxiety and stress for many years. The physical pain was actually mostly emotional pain, and by balancing that polarity, releasing the negative emotions and limiting beliefs, installing an empowering mindset, this all enabled the body to heal itself naturally. Or we did have to do a little bit of extra intervention for some mechanical or pathological issues which we couldn't quite clear up entirely using the polarity balancing. And by using this holistic approach, looking at all levels of the being and acting on the inner guidance, it's amazing what's in there when you know how to tap into it. Harness the natural forces of the universe and your own inner brilliance to create the life you really want. So that proved beneficial. And here's that promise I made to you for instant stress relief. It's a 5-minute audio recording. It's going to make you feel calm, relaxed and refreshed. You can use it anytime, anywhere, but don't do it while you're driving or operating machinery, obviously. So when you come home frazzled from a hard day at work or out of the shops or whatever you need to do, before you start your day, do it in the morning to set you up for a nice, calm day. Or if you're not able to sleep at night because of all the mind chatter, you could use this to still it and get a nice deep sleep. So just go to my website, woodlandwellness.co.uk, and by the way, if you do go there, you'll find out a lot of other information. But what you really want to do is sign up for my free e-zine, which is packed with wellness tips. Now, I'm not going to spam you forever. It's a fairly infrequent thing. When I've got something to say, I'll say it. but you can always unsubscribe at any time if you're not happy to get it. But when you do that, you'll get the free audio. So in conclusion, if you or someone you know suffers from any of these things, the fatigue, depression, sleepiness, helplessness, immune conditions, being foggy-brained, irritable for no reason, got the gut problems, muscle and joint pain, these are obviously the switched conditions. You may have chronic reverse polarity. I'll give you a free test. And you can either use a contact form on the website or you can email me at this address. And this can be done for anyone, anywhere in the world. We can do it by Skype or phone. You don't have to be present. If you are local to me and want to do it, in person, that's fine. We can do that too. Absolutely free of charge. I'm very happy to do the test. If you have this condition, you do want to get it balanced. You do want to do it. Trust me on that. So this is us empowering you to achieve high vibration, health, wealth, and happiness. That's what I'm all about. Heal the chronic reverse polarity, all those things we've talked about. Also install positive things like confidence and self-esteem. And we have a whole slew of techniques to deal with these things, including things like herbs and supplements. We do have clients all over the world, literally from Singapore to Seattle. I think the furthest from the UK I've been via Skype is Australia, a couple of people in Australia. But certainly Far East, Europe, US. I seem to have quite a few Canadians. They seem to like me quite a bit. Anyway, there's our website address if you want any more information or details about that. Hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I hope you can see that using a truly holistic approach, it is quite possible to get some amazing results.